Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on an exciting webinar on community college pathways. We have an amazing guest who is also a doctoral student at UCLA, Alana Bachor. She'll be presenting to us today about navigating the community college transfer application process. Just a little bit about Uprooted. I am the head of digital experiences, and I am here to support students and families with virtual programming. Our company started about 3 years ago, and our purpose is to empower low income, first generation students of color by providing free resources to excel in the college application process, connect with careers, and narrow the wealth gap. In addition, our central purpose is to reduce the anxiety that comes along with the college application process. So what do we offer? We offer various virtual programming, one being the most recent college fair, where we had over 50 universities meet with students from across the university to learn about their admissions process, admissions, and other campus support resources. We are launching a free student platform called Uprooted Academy Community Center in January 2025. I will be sharing more information on how to sign up for our wait list to receive more information about the features and other events for the community center. In addition, we do offer some in-person and virtual student and parent workshops, in addition to college readiness curriculum and direct student support in Los Angeles County. So today, again, we'll have Alana Bachor from Mount San Antonio College in California speaking, and I will now hand it over to Alana to introduce herself and more about what she does.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Corinne. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy that you all at home are watching. And I'm really hoping that you get information that you need to make sure that you have all the options, information about options for higher education. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. And okay, so just wanted to make sure my screen is showing. We're good?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about how to go from the community college to a four-year university, and maybe some little bit of hacks, on how to do it and what to expect, and basically an overview of it, because many students and parents and community members may not realize all the different things that community colleges have to offer around the nation. So I am a community college counselor at a large community college in Southern California. And so many of my examples will be, in the state of California. However, community colleges do function the same way across the nation. And so I'm going to strongly encourage that you reach out to the counselors within the communities and the schools that you are thinking about. I've been at my community college for the past 10 years full time. I really enjoy what I do, and transfer really is near and dear to my heart. And so that's why I'm so happy to be here sharing information with you. And in the presentation today, I'm going to be going over what is a community college and why is it a good option for you. As I'm going through this, I'm hoping that you ask yourself that question, like, why would this be a good option for me? Just so then that way you are aware, right, of the pros and cons of all the different things you may be considering in terms of getting higher education or getting more skill or improving yourself, whatever it is that your goal is in terms of wanting to go to school. We're also going to go over the transfer overview, what that looks like. I want to talk about advocating for yourself, because that's a pretty big component when you get to college, whether it's at a community college or a four-year, and kind of show why that's important. And I'm going to talk a little bit about time management, how that affects motivation, and then we'll get to the questions and answers. So I'm using the example, my community college is named Mount San Antonio College. We call it Mount SAC. And so I wanted to visually show what community colleges offer to the students that attend there. So community colleges, they offer certificates, okay? Certificates are meant to be vocational, meaning that um, you specialize in one topic. So let's just say you really wanted to learn welding. You would find the community college that offers welding. And then if they offer a certificate in it, you would basically take all the welding classes. Once you've taken all the classes required for that certificate, you then file to get that certificate, and that's what you would put on your resume, and that's what qualifies you to go out and get a job. So that's what vocational means. It's geared very specifically towards a skill or a knowledge for you to go find work. Okay. Then community colleges, they also offer associate degrees. So an associate degree is different than a certificate in that it has the general education component to it. So degrees have the major class requirements, right, for that specific major. So if you wanted an associate degree in photography, you'd be taking major classes in photography, but then you'd also have to be taking general education requirements. General education requirements can be very similar to those classes that you know, A through G in high school. It's that kind of concept where there's courses that you have to take from a pattern of general topics. And so every community college will have their pattern for their general education, along with the major for the associate degree. And then the third option that community colleges offer is for you to transfer. And so community colleges offer certificate, associate degrees, and the transfer option for those that want to get a bachelor's degree. Because community colleges, for the most part, there are some states that do have community colleges grant bachelor degrees. Those are kind of few and far between. For the most part, community colleges do not offer bachelor degrees. So in that case, what students do is they will basically, I don't like to use the word use, but they do. They use the community college to do the first 2 years of their education in order then to transfer out to do the rest of their education in the upper division courses at the 4-year university for a bachelor's degree. And today we're going to be talking about transfer, but I did want to go over all of this because many students, many times, don't realize you can pick up a certificate while also working on transfer requirements. That is a possibility, and so you also can change your mind, right? If you went in to a community college and you wanted to pick up an associate degree, and then you realized, hey, I think I want to transfer because I want to go for my bachelor's degree. You have all those options, and the community college, provides that for you. So this is a visual representation of the path a transfer student would have at a community college. So they begin at the community college, and they are looking, and this is the 60-unit requirement here is for California schools. It's going to be similar. There's going to be requirements in other states, and so that's something, as long as you are aware of how it generally works, you can ask the questions that you need at your school. And so students in California that go to a community college are looking to make sure that they reach 60 transferable units to the type of school that they want to go to. In California, we have 3 different types of higher education that students can choose from. 2 of them are public schools, like public systems. So we have the Cal State system, and we have the UC system, and then we have private schools. So students in California at any community college will want to ask, hey, which pattern of classes do I need to take in order to transfer out to my certain type of school? Okay. In other states, there are agreements with community colleges and the four-year universities, and they might call them transfer paths. They might call them associate degrees for transfer. It's depending on where you're located. As long as you understand you're going to do part of your education at the community college, and then you would then transfer to the four-year university to do your upper division units. That's basically what you need to know. And like I said, in California, the minimum amount of units you need to transfer is going to be 60, because then students complete the rest of the 60 over there at the university, because bachelor's degrees are typically 120 units total. Now, that's not all of them. Some degrees are higher than 120 units, but generally speaking, they're around that time. So you do half at the community college and then half at the four-year university. And some people will say, oh, you're doing your freshman, sophomore year at the community college and then doing your junior, senior year at the university. But others may say, oh, I'm doing my first and second year and then my third and fourth. That's typically that numbering for 4 years. That's typically for students who are going full time to school. And we all know that if you're considering a community college, it may be because you have a lot of responsibilities, maybe because that you have to work. It may be because you don't know what major you'd like to major in, and so you want to take your time in figuring that out. Whatever the reason is, just know that you do not have to compress the 2 years in 2 years. There is no timeline. Everybody has their own timeline. And so if it takes you longer than 2 years to complete the requirements to transfer to the university, that is okay. So just wanted to throw that out there. So this is another visual representation of what a whole bachelor's degree would look like. Okay, so the red part on top, when you are at the community college, you're working on your major preparatory classes. So that's going to be for whatever major that you decided to choose. I'm going to go ahead and say, let's just say you wanted to do business. So you're going to be taking some business classes that are required, and those may be accounting, macroeconomics, microeconomics, business communication, business calculus, those types of classes, right? So they're very major specific. We call them major prep. Then you'll also be taking your general education classes, right? So English, arts, possibly some humanities. In California, we have ethnic studies, so whatever is listed in the general education. And so these are the two main components. If you've completed all the classes on your major prep list and your general education list, but still haven't met the minimum amount of units to transfer, then we call those elective classes. And so elective classes are classes that students may take in order to make sure that they're meeting the requirements for either units. It's mainly units that they need to meet with elective classes. So once the student has done this, met the minimum amount of units, then they transfer to the university. And in this case, if we're looking at California, we're looking at the Cal State or the UC school. Then once they're there, they might do upper division major classes along with upper division general education classes if it's needed for that major, and any other elective classes, so any more units that they may need to hit the total amount needed for that bachelor's degree. Okay, so I know it seems a little complicated, but I think it's good for you to have a general overview of what this looks like, because then you can then ask more questions with your counselor at your community college. Are there any questions at this time? No? Okay, so if you think of any, then just know that there will be a question and answer portion at the end of the presentation. So when I spoke about the options that students had, again, I'm in California, so I know the school's the best. California State Universities is one system. And so, if a student came into my office and said, I really want to go to Cal State Fullerton. I always pass by it. I drive by it. I know people that go there. How do I get there? Right. I would be able to guide them, right, in terms of the general education classes and the major prep classes that they would need specifically to go to Fullerton. So in the state of California, the Cal State system, we have 23 schools within that system that students may choose from, and they all follow the same education pattern for any one of the schools within this system. Okay. The other public school system in California is the University of California. And so within this system, there's 9 undergraduate schools, 10 total, because there's UC Merced. Oh, there's UC Merced. But that is a graduate school only. So in terms of transfer students, we say, okay, 9 schools are available to you to transfer to. And same idea. So in California, if a student said, I want to try applying to transfer to UCLA, UC Riverside, and UC San Diego, well, they would only have to follow one general education pattern, but then we would look at the major preparations for each of the schools. Now, this brings me to the next topic of major. So when you decide on a major, not all schools have that major. So you may want to make sure that you're doing the research because students may have an idea in their head about a 4-year university they want to transfer to, and then, decide on a major, and then later realize that that school may not offer their major. So then you then have to decide, do you change your major or do you change your school? And so it is important to start thinking about what you want to major in. I know that's a very, very scary thought, especially if you're in high school or if you just graduated high school. It can cause a lot of anxiety, and I completely understand it. That's normal. To feel scared about it is normal. But what we don't want to do is let that fear kind of take over, and then we hide from that. Right? We don't ask any questions. We kind of avoid it. We just say, okay, I can do general education. I don't have to decide right now. You don't have to decide right away, but we do want you asking questions. Many schools have counseling courses that can help you figure out your major. You can talk to your counselor. You can talk to your professors. You really want to make sure and be aware that that major in school, sometimes they don't have every single major. So just wanted to throw that out there. So if you're undecided, completely okay. And in fact, another reason why community college would be a good option for you to take some time to kind of figure it out. But we definitely want to make sure that you are going through the process of coming to a decision that you feel comfortable with. So part of that in me saying, okay, make sure that you are asking questions, because when anybody starts college, whether it's a community college or a 4-year university, you don't know what you don't know, right? So you don't know what questions to ask. And so that's more of a reason why I'm going to recommend that you do not be afraid to ask questions, why you should be more motivated, because sometimes we don't know. Well, actually, we don't know any of this process. And so even saying, can you explain this to me? I have an idea. I saw a webinar and the counselor said I do a certain amount of units here and then I do a certain amount of units over there. How does that work? Even just asking or stating it in that way, it shows the person that you're speaking with that you're curious about this, that you want to learn, and that you are actively engaged in your own education. That's really important, because when you come to college, um, we don't call you to make the appointments. We don't register you into classes. You have to do that yourself. We don't drop you from courses. Everything is about you advocating for yourself. And sometimes it can be very hard. Campuses are large. Um, it can be confusing, but you really need to make sure that you are out there asking questions, and also getting involved, because that can really, really help in terms of you understanding and being around people that are going to help you do what you need to do. So I like to say, find your community at the community college. And so, of course, I'm going to, say look for counselors. But besides that, I'm going to say, talk to your professors. If you took a general education class, and let's just say you took earth science and you never really liked it before, but you ended up loving it at the community college, go to your professor's office hours. All professors need to have office hours. So a time during the week where they're open to talk to students. And so, you should go talk to that professor, ask them how did they get into science or teaching the class, because you never know. Everybody's path may be very different. I'm a counselor right now, but my bachelor's degree is in history. And so, people can change their minds. You can change your mind, and that's completely normal. It's again making sure that that you're seeking out the help and being curious about, I never thought about that. Let me look more into it. Or, and professors can help you do that because they are the experts in their field. It took them a long time to get to where they're at in terms of teaching. And I think talking to them is very helpful. I think trying to make sure that you're getting study buddies when you're studying for classes, and I'm going to get to why this is really, really huge, because it's very different in college than it is in high school. And it's really good being around people who are motivated. And even though it may be a little bit anxiety inducing, if you're around people that really know what they want to do and they're really driven and they're really motivated, and you're kind of like, I don't know what I want to do, it's sometimes just helpful because they may have answers, right? That you want to know, that you may not be where you may not be able to ask a counselor or an advisor so easily. And so I think it's, yeah, they're very, it can be a very good support system, your peers that really are on top of things and help you to be on top of things. Tutors, I know on our campus, we have many, many tutors across campus, and they're absolutely free. So the other thing about community college is that there's so many people on campus wanting to help you out, and the services are completely free to you. And so if you never used tutors before, that it's good, right, for you to start, because essentially you're trying to learn good habits, break bad habits, and learn how to do that before you transfer out to the four-year university, which can be larger than your community college, maybe more challenging than your community college, and maybe where you don't know as many people, because it's hard to transfer and then try and get involved all over again. And so I like to tell students, especially on our campus, we have a very large campus. If they're doing everything at the community college, they learn to do that here. It'll be that much easier to do that over there at the four-year university. Clubs, I think, that is different in from high school, in that, talking about clubs and talking about services that you use on campus. Sometimes in order to transfer, they may ask you to write about your experience, or what have you done for your major or your career. If you're looking for scholarships, that can be a common question too. And so you want to be able to talk about those things or the different experiences, because being around people and working on a common goal is how you also learn about yourself. And so you don't want to just go to school and come back without having any of those experiences that you can talk about, that you can later write about for or entrance essays or scholarship essays. I mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. Look for classes at the community college. Many of them will have transfer classes. And so I know at our campus, the counselors teach our counseling classes. And so we have a whole class just on transfer. And then that way you're connected to a counselor within that class, the whole semester learning about transfer. And many students are not aware that there are classes like that. And so that's maybe something you'd want to ask when you first meet with your community college counselor, or even if you're in high school now and they're doing outreach on your campuses, you may want to ask that representative, hey, at that community college, do they have counseling classes? And not only do they cover transfer, but they'll cover topics like college success. They'll talk about career and life planning. So if you're having some trouble, trying to decide on a major, which is completely normal, especially graduating from high school, they have classes for that. So, and they also have workshops and events for it. And so it's just knowing about it, right? And again, it goes back to, hey, you didn't know that you didn't know that, and so that's why I think even just trying to make sure you're asking the right questions to get the information that you need, so that way you're starting right at the starting line and not feeling like you're behind. Okay. So one of the major concepts that I was hoping that you would take away today, if you don't take anything else away, I hope you take away this concept in terms of time. So when you get to college, when you get to either the community college, even the four-year university, but when you get to college, you are basically expected to learn in a different way than you have the last 4 years of your life, right? Or when you were in high school, because students have been learning one subject, right, the whole year. So if you took an English class, the school year would start maybe in August, maybe in July, right? It starts in the summer, and then you go through till December, and then you get your break, and then you come back, and you're still in that same English class for the rest of the year. So then you go to May and June, okay? And that's what you've been used to. When you come to college, we expect, and many times students don't know this, but we expect you to learn the same amount and that same subject in 16 weeks. And so that's a semester term. And so at my college, we're 16 weeks. Some schools are at 14 weeks. Some might be at 12 weeks. If it's a quarter system, it could be 10 weeks. And so in this example with my school, our terms are 16 weeks. So our fall term is 16 weeks and our spring term is 16 weeks. So students go from high school not really realizing this shift, and they try and do everything that they did in high school because it worked in high school. They try and do that in college. And because of this time shrinkage here, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so the mindset has to be different. You have to then change it up, right? In high school, people use tutoring to basically catch up, right? Students would say, oh, I'm not doing so well, I need to go to tutoring, right? Because they did have all this time to catch up. In college, okay, students that do well use tutoring to prevent themselves from getting behind, because there is no time to catch up, right? So this is a huge thing that I really want to point out to students, especially new students, especially first-gen students, especially students that maybe even did well in high school, but maybe find themselves struggling in a college class. It's because you went from learning one subject a whole year to learning it in the 16-week term or the 14-week term or 12 or 10, right? And um, so the mindset has to be different, and the amount of time you spend on it for your classes, it has to be greater. Okay. And then some schools, my community college does offer intersessions. And so that's for the winter and the summer. And that's even shorter. So that's 6 weeks. So to go from a whole year to 16 weeks to 6 weeks, it's a pretty there is an adjustment there. And the one thing that really breaks my heart as a counselor is to see students who maybe did not um, have the best habits in high school, maybe doing homework at 3 in the morning and, turning it in and not, fully paying attention in class, but still getting by because, they put in minimal effort and they were able, to get a passing grade. Um, when they try and do that same thing here in college, okay, and when it doesn't work, they say, don't worry, I'm going to retake it. And then they want to take it in the 6 weeks. If they make no adjustments or don't realize what's really going on, they're not doing well. And the worst thing about that is that the student thinks, well, maybe college isn't for me. And that breaks my heart because college really is for everybody. It's just knowing this breakdown and then knowing what the resources are and the help and your community to kind of make sure that you are getting through the classes. And so I really wanted to make sure that that I included this in part of the presentation because you can do well. It's just making sure that we strategize about how it is that you're learning and how it is that you're going about doing that. Okay. This I like visuals. I'm a visual person, so in terms of my school, this is what the year kind of breaks down, right? So the fall and spring semesters are the full term, so they're 16 weeks. And then the winter intersession and the summer intersession are 6 weeks. And so it's much, much faster. But the whole idea is you're completing your subject within each of these terms. You're not doing one subject the whole year, you're completing it. Once you've completed the requirement for your arts area, it's done. Once you've completed the requirement for maybe ethnic studies, then it's done. It's not the whole year. So if we go back and we think about, well, what does that look like, right? At the community college, my first 2 years, what does that look like before I transfer out? If we're saying this is 1 year and this is another year, if we're trying to hit a certain amount of units that's required of you at your community college before you transfer, well, it comes down to a numbers game, right? So it's kind of how you're going to plan out your classes, because if we're saying, okay, you need 60 units before you can transfer out, then some students do 12 units here, 12 units here, 3 units here, 3 units there. That's a total of 30, right? Because we got to get 30 and 30 to hit 60. Some students don't want to take intersessions, or maybe your community college doesn't offer certain sessions. Then you'd have to do 15 units here and 15 units there to hit the 30 for 1 year, and then 15, 15 to hit the 30 there. Okay. If you can't take that amount of units because you say, oh man, I'm working, I have to work, there's no way around that, then this is where I say that is okay. And this is where the community college, that's what it's meant for. It's meant for the community, whatever it is that you need, right? And it's your path. We're going to say, okay, well, maybe you can't take the full amount of units. How many classes, can you take? We're going to talk through that. You and your counselor are going to talk through that. And then maybe you're going to see, well, it might take me, 3 years, or it might take me 4 years before I hit the certain amount of units, because that's all I can do with my schedule at work, with my family responsibilities, with what I want to take in each semester, right? And the fact that I need to sleep. So, um, so uh, it's not always going to be 2 years. And don't let anybody ever pressure you because I'm doing a really thorough breakdown of how these units look, right? Um, Nobody sees that. Nobody that's going through it at the community college really sees it. Um, it's hard, and some majors really require a lot of classes before you have to transfer to make sure you have that knowledge. Okay. So I wasn't quite sure about who was going to be attending the workshop. And so if we go back to, if you don't know what you don't know, I would want to share about some of the programs that you may be able to take while you're still in high school. So if you're a junior in high school, if you're a senior in high school, um, you know, the states are really getting into doing dual enrollment, meaning you can take community college classes, at your high school. And I think, your high school has to be signed up for that type of program. Um, but many students may not realize that's what is going on, on their campus. And so you may want to ask your high school counselor about that. If you wanted to get a jump start on college classes, you can take them at the community college while you're still in high school, and that is called special admission. So at my community college, we say, oh, they're special admit students, meaning um, they they're in high school, but they have applied as a special admitted student, and then they can go ahead and start taking their college classes. Um, so they can start getting college credit while in high school. And sometimes you can get the college class to count for your high school requirements. And so maybe that's something you would want to ask about, learn about, because community college, because it is so accessible that it's a really, really great option. I, in fact, did not even know that that's what I did when I was in high school. I actually ended up taking an evening class in Spanish, and my counselor in high school said, "Okay, that's your foreign language for A through G requirement is done," and it was only one semester of Spanish, and it counted as 2 years for high school. So maybe, ask about that, see if that's available to you, especially if you live near a community college. And if you are a graduating senior, so if you're watching this video and you have graduated, one, congratulations. And then two, I would definitely look into any kind of summer bridge program at the community college if you do decide to go to your community college, because many times they will have really fun and really informative summer programs for incoming students that are brand new out of high school or even just brand new to college. So even if you took, that gap year and wanted to come back to school and starting at the community college, I would ask about those types of programs because many times there's a lot of benefits to them and a lot of fun events, a lot of free food. That's how it is at my school, and I know at many community colleges. And so now we're at the question and answer section of the presentation. So, anybody have any questions? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So if there are no questions, then thank you very much for your attention. I hope, I hope this was helpful to you in some way. And, I really, really hope that you love the community college that you do decide to attend. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Alana.
Mhm.
This was like very informative, and it actually has triggered a few questions for me as someone that went directly into a four-year university. I'm curious if you can give us advice on when students should be preparing and exploring community college options while they're in high school? And what information can you share with parents so that they can be supportive of their child's options and to help them make informed decisions?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I know that like with my school, our registration dates changed to be very early. So, for example, we're gonna register for our spring session, which begins the end of February in November. So, if we have any high school seniors right now, I'm going to recommend that they apply to their community college because it is free. It's free to apply, and that way you can get a student ID number, um, and that way be ready to be able to register for any of the summer classes. And I would probably do that early spring. So I would probably do that in at least maybe even February. Like that's what I would say. But the main thing that I know that what happens at high schools is that they do the high school outreach, and and I think sometimes students don't really take advantage of the rep being on their campus talking about the community college, because community colleges are trying to recruit from the high schools to say, hey, we're an option. So um, I would strongly see about talking to those representatives, because I know within my own school that they do have the students apply to the community college in January, even just as an option, because even at that point, you don't know. Yeah, you don't know if you're in at the 4-year university. So I think even applying early on um, would be a good option. And then even going to the website and looking at and even putting in like keywords like summer bridge or new students, that kind of thing, just so that way each school, I'm sure, is trying to make sure that they're getting those students that are brand new for those programs. And like I said, I know with us, there's a lot of perks to doing that. Our students get priority registration if they participate in that summer uh, um, program. So yeah, I would do that. And if I was a parent, I would probably be pushing my senior about that, just because I know senioritis is real, and so as much as even for myself, trying to do things that I know are important, if other things are on my mind, it's not going to happen. And so I think it's good for parents want their students to do it. But if you are involved and you are aware, and clearly if you're watching this, then you are involved, then I would like really, really, really push my high school senior to make sure that they're applying, getting an ID number, because I know with us, as soon as you have an ID number, you can make an appointment with a counselor.
Hmm,
So that way you can make that appointment, and then we would go through that with you and make sure that you're signed up for that summer program.
that's very helpful advice, especially having the access to meet with a counselor before high school ends for them so they can get started right away.
Yeah, yeah.
So for more of a fun question, I'm curious to know,
Mhm.
like, what are like fun classes or unique course titles that you've seen at Mount SAC or at other local community colleges that you think would intrigue students?
Yeah. Um, I know, that's so good. Well, we have so many. So we actually have like a flying team.
Flying team.
Yeah, because our students work on small engine airplanes, and we have a pilot, program, and so I mean, to me, all those classes are pretty, fun sounding, but that is the career. Um, I think our students are the most surprised about how many like uh like physical activity classes we have. So we have like ballroom dance and waltz and jujitsu and sand volleyball and women's self-defense, martial arts. We have we have a lot of those types of classes. I'm trying to think of. We don't have any of those like out there, like Taylor Swift classes or anything like that. But I know some schools do. Um, yeah, the one that I actually recommend as a counselor, and it may not sound fun, but may be very helpful in the future, is that we do offer library classes in terms of learning how to use the library and do research. And so for students that are going to go on to do that work, I tell them, hey, if you need units, elective units, right? If we need to reach that 60 for you to transfer, our library classes are, you know, transferable. And so students will many times take me up on that offer, and then they end up loving the library and finding that research isn't really that bad.
That's actually very useful. I'm definitely going to share that tip with any high school students I meet that are interested in community colleges. Yeah, I had not thought of that before. Thank you.
Yeah.
That does it for us. Thank you, everyone, for joining our webinar today. Again, my name is Corinne Smith. Happy to stay in touch if you have any other questions or feedback, any topics that you would like us to present in the future. Please feel free to reach out and follow us on social media at the Uprooted Academy. Thank you.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.